Let's go over the pros and cons of living in Pennsylvania so you know if Pennsylvania is a great option for you to live in or not. Hey there, I'm Corey Benhart and I'm a realtor here in Pennsylvania. So if you're thinking about making the move, I would love to help you find your perfect Pennsylvania home. All of my contact information is below. Let's get started. Starting out with our first pro, which is the cost of living. Depending on where you're moving from, Pennsylvania is most likely more affordable. Pennsylvania actually made the list for the 15 top most affordable states throughout the entire country. If the entire US as a whole has a cost of living rating as a basis of 100, Pennsylvania is rated below the national average at 96.4. Just one of the main reasons that people are moving to Pennsylvania is actually because of the cost of living. And if we compare things such as the real estate prices, the taxes, and just the overall everyday expenses, Pennsylvania has one of the lowest cost of livings on the entire East Coast. New York, New Jersey, Maryland, and Delaware all have a higher cost of living compared to Pennsylvania. And the second pro that we have to talk about is all of the different living types in Pennsylvania, which are perfect for all different types of people and their own situations. You can enjoy suburban living with small towns and family-friendly neighborhoods, city living in Philadelphia, which offers a fast-paced environment and plenty of sky-rise condos, or you could live on a farm with acres upon acres of land. There are plenty of different living options in Pennsylvania for just about everybody. And now for the next pro that we have to talk about, which is the location of Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania here is centrally located. We're about 3 to 3.5 hours to our nation's capital, Washington, D.C., 2 hours from New York City and Atlantic City, New Jersey, which is kind of like the Las Vegas of the East Coast. Tons of different beaches in New Jersey, and only a couple-hour plane ride to Florida, or about a 12 to 13-hour car ride. A lot of Pennsylvanians vacation in Florida, not just because of Disney World and the beautiful beaches, but actually a lot of Pennsylvania snowbirds move to Florida during the winter. The next big pro that I have to tell you about is the immense education and career opportunities. Pennsylvania is home to some of the best universities in the entire country. University of Pennsylvania is an Ivy League school and is actually ranked as the 7th best school in the entire country. Some of the other universities that we have here in Pennsylvania is Carnegie Mellon, Penn State University, Lehigh University, Temple, and Drexel University, just to name a few. The career opportunities here in Pennsylvania are very impressive as well. Actually, 1 in 6 doctors throughout the entire country have actually been trained here in Philadelphia. Pennsylvania is actually home to some of the largest companies in the entire world, such as Comcast, Rite Aid, Hershey, and Toll Brothers. There are a total of 24 Fortune 500 companies located right here in Pennsylvania. So you might be watching this video because you're getting relocated to Pennsylvania, but if not, don't worry, because you will have no problem finding a job in Pennsylvania's very strong job market. Now, before we get into the cons, the last pro on our list is the overall recreation in Pennsylvania. There are so many things to do all throughout the state of Pennsylvania, and more specifically, because Pennsylvania is such a historic state, there are tons of different history, monuments, and museums throughout the state. The Declaration of Independence, the Liberty Bell, Liberty Hall, and the Betsy Ross House are all located here in Philadelphia, along with tons of museums all across the state. But also another great thing about the recreation in Pennsylvania has to come back to the changing seasons here in Pennsylvania. The great thing about having all 4 seasons here in Pennsylvania is that there is always different things to do all throughout the year. During the winter, you can ski, snowboard, ice skate, etc. And during the summer, there's plenty of great hiking trails, lakes, and rivers to enjoy swimming and all different kinds of water sports. One of my personal favorite attractions in Pennsylvania is the Hershey Park. So if you have kids, I would highly suggest visiting Hershey Park in Hershey, Pennsylvania. There's a water and amusement park, but also an indoor Hershey factory tour, and you can even make your own chocolate bar. All right, and now let's move over to the cons of Pennsylvania, and the first one is actually the liquor laws. Alcohol is only sold in what we call state stores, which are government-owned stores here in Pennsylvania. In most other states, you could buy liquor in grocery stores, convenience stores, and just about everywhere else you can imagine. imagine. But in Pennsylvania, it's the complete opposite. They're pretty strict about liquor laws here. Actually, as of only a couple years ago, you can now buy wine and a small case of beer in some select grocery stores. But for any type of liquor, you would need to go to the state store. And if you would want to buy more than a 6 or a 12 pack of beer, you would need to go to the beer distributor. So there's essentially 3 different stores that you would need to go to for all different types of alcohol. It might sound a little confusing, but unfortunately that's kind of just how it is here in Pennsylvania. The next big con that we have to talk about is the weather. So if you're coming from the West Coast, the South, or just about anywhere else, you're not going to be used to the unique weather that we have here in Pennsylvania. We're so lucky to be able to enjoy all 4 seasons, but we can still have some pretty harsh weather. Pennsylvania gets an average of 38 inches of snow each year, with an average temperature ranging between 19 and 33 degrees in the winter months. I've lived in Pennsylvania my entire life, so I just wanted to say that of course we don't get this much snow every single year. We've actually been pretty lucky and have gotten a lot less amount of snow the past couple of years. And now on the other hand, the summers can get pretty harsh as well. The average humidity here in Pennsylvania during the July and August months is between 65 to 75% humidity. So if you're moving from the West Coast and you haven't really experienced East Coast humidity, I would definitely suggest to come and visit and make sure it's something that you could even stand, because trust me, it's a lot different of a heat compared to the West Coast. And now the good news though is on those days that are super humid, it almost always rains at night to cool things down a bit. And the next con is probably not one that you've heard or seen on the internet. So for my true and full transparency, please subscribe to my channel, because I probably shouldn't be sharing this with you, but I appreciate you watching all of my videos. So the con that we have to talk about is the stigma of the people here in Pennsylvania and overall the East Coast as a whole. It's a pretty common stigma that people here in Pennsylvania and on the East Coast are rude or maybe just a little too honest and blunt. In my honest opinion, that's not true at all, but I also was born and raised here, so maybe that's just something I'm used to. Maybe that's something you will notice if you're coming to Pennsylvania from out of state. But overall, yes, it seems like it's very well known that people on the East Coast are always in a rush and always have to go, unlike other places in the country where maybe they're just a bit slower paced and not in a rush and really take the time to get to know one another. But that doesn't reflect the attitude of the people. Of course, there's going to be rude people anywhere you go all throughout the world, but overall as a whole, that's not what I found is the case at all. Most people are very happy and welcoming. And the next con that we're going to talk about drives me crazy. It is the roads in Pennsylvania. Most of the roads in PA are in horrible condition, and Pennsylvania actually ranks for some of the worst roads in the entire country. There are a couple of different reasons why the roads in Pennsylvania are in such bad shape. Whenever we get snow, the townships and the cities lay salt all across the road to prevent the roads from getting too icy. Once the salt melts all of that ice, it continues to eat away at the road. Another reason that we have such bad roads is because whenever the snow melts from the sun and also from the ice, the water from the snow melting gets into the little divots in the road, and at night when the water freezes and expands, that causes a huge pothole to form. Potholes are horrible here because there are just so many that by the time the road crews finally get out to fix them, it's pretty close to winter and it's just a full cycle over and over again year after year. And the next con that we have to talk about is the unhealthy eating habits. Now, quickly coming back to the East Coast lifestyle, many people are in a rush, which results in some pretty poor food choices because 9 times out of 10, the average Pennsylvania resident is just grabbing whatever's the quickest meal possible because, coming back to it, they're probably in a rush. Pennsylvania is known for a couple of different things, but one of those things is the very famous Philadelphia cheesesteak. And don't get me wrong, they are absolutely delicious, but of all of the things that Pennsylvania could be known for, one of them is a meat-filled sandwich with tons of cheese on top of it. And if that doesn't kind of give you a sign on what the eating habits are throughout the entire state of Pennsylvania, I don't know what would. We have a food choice here that is pretty unique, and I'm pretty sure that it's offered nowhere else in the entire country except for Pennsylvania, and it's called scrapple. Pennsylvania scrapple is a very unique food, and if you happen to come to Pennsylvania or if you happen to move to Pennsylvania after we find your home, I would definitely suggest to at least try scrapple, but my only advice is not to Google what scrapple is is made up of. Just try it and then you can Google it. But spoiler alert, scrapple is made up of all of the extra scraps that is not turned into other more popular and more common food. No matter what lifestyle you're looking for, Pennsylvania has it, and I would love to help you find your Pennsylvania home. So use the contact information below to reach out, and I would love to hear from you. Watch this video next to find out the top 7 reasons why people are actually moving out of Pennsylvania. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.